welcome back to another episode. We've got another event next weekend, so we're going to do some basic prep stuff. I'm going to grease the front suspension, check fluid levels, and then the passenger seat is sort of halfway up the rails path. So we're going to at least take the passenger seat out and see if we can get the rails to work properly so that it can slide back and forth. And if we can't, and it's just going to jam up, we're at the least going to slide it so that it sits all the way back. Because, well, it'd be more comfortable that way, and obviously this car doesn't have any airbags or anything in it, so you don't want to whack your face on the dash in an emergency. Also, I was thinking about, since it's warm out here, doing this touch-up paint. It's like, yeah, it doesn't look perfect, but at least it's blue instead of gray primer. Alright, taking you on a field trip. If you've ever wondered how to grease suspension, particularly on an old Ford, get under the car and you look for the fittings, and you keep looking for the fittings, well, there should be a fitting right here. That's your ball joint, but it looks like this is a sealed unit too, like the Miata. So I don't see. Oh, okay. The tie rod end's got a grease fitting, so this isn't completely useless. Alright, so this is a Zerks fitting. I don't have a stand for you, so hopefully you'll stay there. Maybe I'll just sit you on the little butt. So let me grab the grease gun. Where did the grease gun go? Over here. Fortunately, my grease gun doesn't have a flexible hose, but you put... Damn it. Okay. Well, let's take the tire off, and we'll deal with it from there. Oh. So when it starts coming out, instead of going in, stop. And then probably need to clean the Zerk fitting back off, otherwise you get what it was when we got under there, which is completely covered in shit. Now, same thing, other side. I always like to at least thread them on by hand, because it gives me the assurance, at least to myself, that they're not going to get cross-threaded. The last thing I need is to have to deal with that. Then this beautiful machine has torque settings. So I turn 1, do them up. So they're not too tight, so it seats properly. And then I'll turn it back up to 4 and do it on as tight as it'll go, which is roughly what it needs to be anyway. and then I'll check it with the torque wrench once I put it on the ground. Alright, on to some more simple tasks. Well, the oil level actually looks way over full, so that's weird. I guess maybe I changed the oil when it was cold and now it's warm. But it ran fine before, so I'm not gonna let oil out, so we'll call it fine for now. Coolant levels look fine. And, well, that's all I really wanted to check before racing. So, I guess we're good to go. Now we'll move on and see if we can adjust the seat. We've got our PAL T50. If I recall, I need wrenches to do the rest of it because it's too low. While Chloe goes and gets that, let me talk about how great of a tool this is and how everyone should own one. Because, I mean, if you're my parents, you've seen all of these videos, so you saw how little time it took me to take that bolt out. When I have definitely taken 5 minutes to take that one bolt out multiple times because it's very long. So this is the best thing ever. Does like 100 foot-pounds of torque, 120 foot-pounds of torque. And makes a lot of jobs a lot simpler. Alright, so we've got a little spring here, a lever here that actuates the spring. The lever here is supposed to go up, actuate this lever here, which releases the spring, which allows it to move. So, what is binding it up? Certainly, first things first, this lever ain't levering. So the first thing I can see is that this doesn't appear to be on that peg appropriately. So I'm going to use my persuasion device to try and remedy that. Okay, well that looks better. So something on it is jammed up. Must be. So that moves. Doesn't move very far, but I don't think it needs to either. maybe they're mounted slightly crooked. And it just being slightly crooked fucks it up.
Too much pressure on it.
So maybe I'll undo these things here, which is how I mounted them. Well, I can do the back ones, but not the front ones because they're covered. Maybe I'll undo the back ones, see if jiggling this a bit will help. I need some Allen keys. It's your time to shine, weird Black & Decker tool that has a zillion things on it. So, that looks good. Let's shove it back in. Alright, before we tighten that down, as you can see, the seat is actually a little off the ground here. So, I believe that is because the transmission tunnel is getting in the way. But if I sit in it, it gets close-ish. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to bolt these things down. Perhaps this is why we're having problems. It's because it is in here kind of tight because of the transmission tunnel, because we had to get the wide seats. So maybe it's just that we won't be able to adjust these once they're seated. Alright, now before we tighten these down all the way, we're going to make sure that the back ones fit. Or not fit, they fit. Obviously they're on there already, but I need to make sure I can actually get at them. There. Now, you can very comfortably sit in here because you're like a mile from the dash. To the extent that actually this seat is now sitting maybe an inch further back than the driver's seat. Which one day I may adjust, but we'll see. So I'm assuming the reason it won't adjust in the car is because of how tight it is, because obviously you saw we had to press the seat down just to get it in there, which basically is just digging this corner of the seat into the trans tunnel, which shouldn't be a problem because it's, I mean, if it pushes it in at all, it's going to push it in just a little tiny bit. Oops. So hopefully it's not going to be a problem. I mean, if it is, we'll deal with it. But there should be plenty of room there. Like, I mean, I guess it's driveline. Well, I guess there could be a little bit of transmission. Obviously, the stick is here. So the transmission probably ends here-ish. Here-ish. So it probably isn't going to be a problem anyway, because there should be a lot more clearance here anyway. Plus, you know, I've been running it like this for a while. What's another inch back, right? What's another inch between friends? Okay, let's put the seatbelt back on and we'll be done with this job. Well, I'll have Chloe sit in it first because, you know, she's going to be the one riding shotgun in this event anyway. Alright, babe. You want to come have a seat? Alright, let's go back and use my new favorite tool. Also, now I'm thinking because we don't need the extra length like we do on the driver's side, maybe I will put this over the top, which, as I understand it, is technically the proper way to do it. Because then it's going to be snaking over there. It's going to be hard enough getting this on from there because it doesn't really want to pull like that. But, you know, Eventually we'll get harnesses in it and it'll be irrelevant. But anyway, it's gotta go through here. Alright, since it is a lovely day, I've put on some clean gloves and I'm gonna clean these primer spots with alcohol and then I'm gonna paint them. Again, I know it doesn't look perfect, but it looks blue, and for now that's good enough. Oh, Chloe's gonna get me some blue tape because she hates this tape. But then how will I tell the difference between the car and the tape?
Well, you know when it says blue tape across.
I guess the good news is it's reasonably warm out here. It's about 60 degrees. So this spray paint is actually drying quite quickly. So putting on extra layers is quite quick. But in these front bits at certain angles, it's extremely easy to see where I painted it. So I'm gonna do at least a couple more layers before I get the clear end. This one's not so bad. This one and that one, it's like, whoop, it's a lighter color there. Chloe's pointed out that I paint on my arm because I'm the best painter in the world.
At least you're cute.
The clear takes a very light touch. I'm gonna scrape this thing off just for fun because this is from the like training day and I don't need it because the tech inspection badge is over there. You heard the lady, she wants me to scrape hers off too. Now for something not exactly automotive related that honestly I'll probably just do off camera is I'm gonna spray this crap. It's supposed to just by spraying it over time, it's supposed to kill blackberry bushes, which we have a lot of on the side and on the back of the shop and on the side of the yard for that matter. So I'm gonna spray this and I guess in a few weeks we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll just leave you recording and then you can watch me tug the hose back and forth. Oh, if I do it here, then at least, you know, you can make fun of me while I suffer through this endeavor. So now we're going to do something fun. We had a decal made. It says Team Snuggles Motorsports, and it's got a kitten on it. We gotta first decide where we want to put it, and then I'm gonna clean it, the area that we're gonna put it, and then I'm gonna place it. Which this is a vinyl, so I believe we should just peel the back, put it on, rub it, and then the front should peel off, and the decal should stay. But we gotta figure out placement first. What do you think? So this is what I was originally thinking. Now I'm thinking something like here.
Okay.
What do you think? You think that's
fine.
cool? You think it needs to be straight? Do you think it needs to be dead center?
No.
Do you think it should be closer to the front?
Yeah, I like it closer to the front, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be easier to read when you're standing further away from it.
Yeah.
So something like here. Do you like off-centered?
I don't have a problem with off center if you like it.
I like it. Because, like, if I was going to do it, well,
And
frankly...
it's not square, so it doesn't actually matter.
Yeah,
It doesn't
well,
need
if
to be,
if
like,
I wanted
super
it to be
even.
centered, I would probably put it here, and I'd put it much larger.
Yeah, I like it off to this side more.
But, yeah, I like it off to the side more, too. Okay, so let's do it here-ish.
Okay. Clean plenty of space for yourself, though.
Yeah. Will you hand me that? Because I put the camera in the way. Thank you. We're going to use alcohol as a simple solvent. That and it's better than detail spray because it won't leave anything behind. Of course, technically that means I should then wax the car after that, but you know, I'm not going to do that. I'd have to clean it first, number one. And if I'm going to clean and wax a car, I'm going to make it 2015. Thankfully, this is something I have a lot of experience in, just on a much smaller scale.
Yeah.
Cool. Alright, one last thing. I started peeling the tape off, and this tape has been on there since we did the test coat. And it's obviously gone quite nasty. You're very crooked. Why are you very crooked? So I'm gonna rub this down with some alcohol and hopefully not only get it off, but get the residue off too, because it is gross. When I get you in on this action, this seems to work at least okay. Just barely touch the rubber with the razor blade and it seems to peel it up. Rubber still is going to look kind of funky because I took a bunch of it off with the alcohol, but at least it's not going to look like there's ink on it. Alright, I think that's all we've got for today. The car is not only prepped for the race, but it's now blue, and we put the decal on, greased the suspension, checked the fluids. Oh, I guess we put the blanket on since the last race as well. So other than maybe a wash, which may or may not happen depending on the weather in the week, I think we're good to go. We will certainly take you along for the ride to Dallasport, and obviously we'll also film the racing. So we'll see you then. Oops.
Ooh!
Sorry.
You tried to murder me. It's on camera.